Hi students, today I am going to teach you about social movement. Social movement means a movement which is committed by the people of society for any social change towards betterment, upliftment, and the social movement is always peaceful movement which runs on the democratic process. But sometimes social movement turns into violent, but actually social movement stands on peace and non-violence. But some social movements also stands on violent, or the violent social movement uses certain violent methods to achieve its goal. Social movement is an organized movement. It is not a stray movement. Some people in the road, crowds and shouts, and after some time they run away from that place. That is not a movement. So social movement happens for a social cause, for a social issue. Whenever the people of society feel that their interests are not protected and uplifted by the system, by the state, by the government, by the administration, and they feel that they are neglected and ignored by the government, by the system. Sometimes the state, the government attacks on the people's interest. So there is no way before the people to protect their interest. So they gather, they together, they collectively fight against the unruly government. But it doesn't always happen. Social movement is not always against the state or government or system. But there are also some other elements which provoke to social movement. Society is a place where everybody has a right to be part of social movement or organize social movement against any unruly, undemocratic institutions, unruly government, etc. So social movement is an organized movement. Social movement is planned. This movement is based on certain well-planned, well-organization. And this plan is formed by a leader. For the sustainable running of a social movement needs a strong leader. A strong leadership having strong personality, determination, planning, can achieve its goal. So social movement is not for a social movement doesn't happen for a few days, for a few months, or for a few years, but it is a movement which sustains for a long period, for a long years. For example, the POSCO protest movement, the Niyamagiri movement, the Gandhamardan Bachao movement, Narmada Andolan, Chilika Bachao Andolan. These are some movements which were happened to protect the interests of the victims the poor and backward people. And these movements are long-standing movements. So the social movement happens for the sake of for the protection of the interest of the poor people, weaker people, backward people, like tribal sections, like women, children, etc. Whenever the human rights of these sections, like the tribal, women, children, etc., are in danger, then the social movement happens. There is a limitation of every victimization. There is a limitation for every crime. Whenever states unruly, states injustice, or capitalist class, industrialist class, bureaucrats, injustice go beyond the patience of common people, then the social movement comes to exist. The social movement brings social change. Social movement doesn't bring sudden social change. Social movement doesn't bring immediate sudden social change, or doesn't give promise to resolve the immediate problem or achieve immediate goal. The social movement needs long time, certain time to achieve its goal. Overnight doesn't any goal achieved. The social movement needs the sustainable resolution of problem. Sustainable resolution of problem. That means permanent resolution of problem. The pain, the tension of victims shall be resolved from root permanently. So the social movement tries to do all these things in a systematic way. This movement is a systematic movement, organized movement and planned movement, as I told you previously. Very systematically, scientifically, logically, the leaders, the protesters, the participants undertake their movement in order to achieve their ultimate goal, in order to reach at goal. There are so many social movements, like environment protection movement, like human right protection movement, like development and displacement protest movement, and others. They have fulfilled their objective in a very successful way, in a very systematic way. So we have two types of social movement: old social movement and new social movement. The old social movement, which was based on especially labor's movement, based on the interest of the labor class, farmers, etc. especially the labor issue, the farmers issue, and also to some extent women's issue, was the matter of old social movement. But in the 20th century, after 1980, the new social movement comes to exist, and several new topics and issues matters arise for the people, for the people's interest, like human right protection, like tribal movement, like environment protection movement, development and displacement movement, and others. And these new movement, new social movement, are especially fought by some NGOs, civil society members, and common people, common masses. So the new social movements stands for the people who victim injustice, who victimizes injustice, etc., by the system, by the government, by a capitalist class, by the industrialist class, upper class of the people, etc. So thank you all, my dear students.